Hi there. Have you invited Jesus into your life? Have you invited him into your heart? That's a common question we hear, or something, an idea that's commonly talked about in Christianity. And, what does that mean theologically? Or is it theologically accurate to say that? I'm not going to get into all that, but basically we know what it means. Have we chosen to follow Jesus? Have we put him first in our life to follow his ways? But I'm going to take that question a little deeper. Have you invited Jesus into every aspect of your life, to walk along with you as you go down a trail in your life, down the path in your life, and the things you do on a day-to-day basis? Now, as photographers, for those of us who like to take pictures, I invite Jesus into my photography as I walk along a real trail and kind of think about what I'm doing. And there's different ways that comes about in my photography, like photographing God's majesty. We can invite Jesus into our photography as we photograph his majesty. Creation was created by God to point to him. It's one of the things creation does, is it points to God. And when we see the majesty in creation, it points us to God. And capture that majesty with your camera. As you go about doing it, talk to God. Have a conversation with Jesus as you photograph the beauty and majesty of his creation. Now, we see that clearly in the big landscapes. Maybe if we're in a national park somewhere, we can really see that majesty and wonder, and boy, do we want to capture it. But we can still see that majesty and wonder in a walk in a park, or even in our own backyard, and we look at flowers. God's majesty and wonder is not only in those big and grand things, but it's in the small things. And as we invite Jesus into our photography, he speaks to our mind, speaks to our heart, and we can we can better capture the wonder and the majesty and the things that he's created. Another way we can invite Jesus into our photography is to photograph for excellence, right? In Colossians 3:23, it says, "Whatever you do, work wholeheartedly for the Lord rather than men." So work at your photographs. Create art for the Lord rather than for men. And then you know what? Men will like it too. And you may not be the best photographer there is. I'm not. But you can certainly photograph in a way to the best of your ability as a photographer. You may not know all the ins and outs, all the technical stuff, but you know what? You know what you know. And photograph for excellence in the way that you know. Strive to do it for the Lord and not for men. And as I said, men will definitely people will definitely be attracted to the work you do if you do it wholeheartedly for the Lord, to the best of the ability that you have at that given time in your life. And you could strive to get better and better at photography if it really is a way you want to worship God with, and invite Jesus into that photography. You could strive to get better and get more excellent as you photograph for excellence, for God. So photograph your best for God. That honors him. Everybody could do that, right? Everybody can photograph their personal best for God. So whatever your best is, it's your best. Give it to God. So there you have it. There's a couple tips on how to, include God, invite Jesus more into your photography by photographing his majesty and then photographing for excellence. And if you'd like to learn more about Christianity, faith, and photography, visit my website, thecreationspeaks.com. There you find my blog on photography and faith, and also I have a couple of downloads on photography that you can use. One is called Photography and Faith. You could check that out. And I also have an online course about drawing near to God through nature photography. So check all that out. And God bless you, and may you draw near to him.